Hey, this is Manjaja with waytoindie.com. Today we're talking to Sara Masterson. Hey, Sarah, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Early in the morning here. So, could you do us a little intro about who you are, what you do, where you're from, stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I'm from Chicago, so it's been really fun doing music here. It's been a pretty good city to me the last couple of years, and been a singer-songwriter. Really trying to do it for the last about 4 years, which has been awesome. And yeah, I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Michigan, so sort of Midwestern girl, and yeah, just doing the best I can do.
Cool deal. So, when did you first start getting into music, and what inspires you about music mostly?
Yeah, I really started songwriting when I was like around 16. I got my first guitar and just sort of started teaching myself. And I was actually, I went to a performing arts high school called Interlochen Arts Academy. And so it was sort of a musician artist haven for teenagers who wanted to study the arts. So that's really where I got my start, and really songwriting and working with friends, coffee houses, performing our stuff. We thought we were like super cool at 16. But that's really where it all started, and that's really where the love of creativity and all the arts. I still feel really inspired by, you asked, kind of what are your inspirations? I'm like really inspired by other art forms, other kinds of music, even classical music, jazz, different genres. I love dance. I love art. I love hanging out at the Art Institute. And yeah, so just have been doing it really since I was a teenager, but yeah, still working it out.
Always. That's
Yeah.
really cool. So, every album, every song, at least to me, has a story behind it. So, what's the story behind Always the Beautiful here? Which is, by the way, for the people that are listening here, Always the Beautiful is the new record or the EP that you just released a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago. And I believe it's an amazing album. But so, what is the story behind it, or what's the inspiration there?
Yeah. So, you know, in an unashamed way, it really just celebrates beauty, and it's kind of the inspiration all started. I love poetry. I love literature, and one of my favorite poets is E. E. Cummings. And I was just reading through. I have a couple of his really old books, and he did a forward at the beginning, and it was just a question. It said, "Always the beautiful answer who asks a more beautiful question." And that was really kind of inspiring for me, and that's where that first song, that intro track, really came from. That poem, just being inspired by, it is about the beautiful things, but you have to also ask the beautiful questions if you want to dig in deeper to the more meaningful side of life. So in a really, like, it sounds a little bit cheesy, but in a really genuine way, I really just wanted to pursue, the good and the beautiful in this album, and write songs that would hopefully ask other people, to dive a little deeper, to delve into like more meaning, kind of like scratch um, that itch a little bit. So it really is just that theme of always beautiful, and then the rest of the songs sort of go on to tell stories about that, like sort of searching for that meaning and for that beauty. Hopefully, taking people on a little bit of a journey through life, through spiritual things, through experiences that aren't always beautiful, but hopefully we can also see the beauty. Even if we have to work at carving it out a little bit. So
Awesome.
yeah.
That's great to know as a person that loves to listen to music. And there's in popular music nowadays. There's that little thing where it's like it's just not doesn't have, at least in my opinion, doesn't have that soul to it anymore, and doesn't have that creativity there. So that is great to hear. The Illinois Interior calls your music, and I'm quoting this directly. It's folk-inspired dream pop. Do you agree with that, or would you define your music in somewhat of a different way, or do you not want to define your music in just a genre? Because
Yeah. I think that's a really funny question, actually, because I don't really understand genre at all. I think people are so confused when they say, pop, singer songwriter, folk. What is it? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think everything is really blended together. But I would definitely say singer songwriter, and I love the folk inspired part, because I think that's, this telling of stories. What is your story? How can you relate to other people, other artists? Why do people come to your shows to begin with? It's to hear something, it's to connect with you. So I think the folk inspired is true. The dream pop, I don't know. This new album is definitely more straightforward. It's just about genuine songwriting. Some of my other albums, I played a little bit more like some synth parts, rocking out a little bit. So I think it gets a little confusing, but I don't
Awesome.
mind.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
stick with just calling it amazing music. So we'll go
thanks.
with that. I noticed that you just wrapped up a tour as well. So how was that like? And was this your first tour?
It was. I played around the Midwest quite a bit, just being from Chicago. And Chicago is a great music city, but it was my first really big tour, which was exciting. I played a little bit over 20 dates, and I loved it. It was a really exciting experience, just getting to play for different cities, different kinds of people. Really just try. It was exciting to just having people come, in different cities and being able to share, who I am and what I'm all about. And I loved it. I also love like eating and exploring in different towns. So that was really fun. Just getting to explore local culture a little bit, hitting up a bookstore, that type of thing. I also I got my first record player, and so I right now my records are mostly consist of like the dollar sale items, which is like 70s, like James Taylor and Joni Mitchell. They're all like really cheap. So as I was going to different towns, I was trying to collect records from all the different stores. So that was kind of fun. As like a little tour memento, I picked up a couple of fun records. So, but I loved it. It was an awesome experience. It was this summer, and I'm hoping to do a West Coast tour coming up next. So I'm booking for that right now.
Awesome. So that actually goes along with my next question here. What's the future hold for you and your music, and where you hope to be? Not not even 5 years from now. Just like what are you looking for in the near
Yeah.
future?
It's been exciting. I've been thinking a lot about. I don't know if you know Seth Godin. He's a writer, but he has this whole idea of like good ideas are ideas that spread. And so I just did this noise trade push. I don't know if you know noise trade, just like getting music out there in the world. And really, that's like what I want. I know so many creative, incredible musicians, but we're not the best sometimes at pushing it, and getting ourselves out there. So for me right now, I'm just really trying to, I want to connect with as many people as possible. I want to get my music out to as many people as I can. So yeah, so that involves, touring, playing lots of shows, hopefully just getting the word out and letting as many people as I can just appreciate and hear the stuff that I love to make and I love to work on. So
Awesome, and that's definitely it's very important that we get to hear your music because we love to share it as well. So thank you for sharing your music. Um,
yeah.
I think that's about it. Do you have any last comments that you'd like to mention to everyone or say to everything?
I don't think so. Just thanks so much for listening and appreciate the love.
Awesome. Alrighty. Sara Masterson's new EP is still available on Noise Trade, so you can go pick it up there. The links will be down in the description. Also, our album review will be up on waytoindie.com soon, along with this interview, so do go check that out. And as always, keep listening to music. For waytoindie.com, this is Man Jawa. Thank you.